to another episode of Tits for Your Tits. Today we welcome Aimee McWilliams, a fashion designer, creative director and brand consultant who's had a long career in bespoke tailoring, luxury fashion and lingerie. Aimee, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on Tits for Your Tits. I asked all my guests, what do you call your tits? You got a special name for them?
Actually, do you know what? I don't think I've named my boobs, but I probably say boobs.
Boobs, okay.
Yeah, but I'm in like rearing wee children, so
Yeah.
that's probably my name for them. But it's probably not what I use with my partner.
No, so what do you use with your partner then?
I don't know, actually. I don't really remember. Maybe that's quite telling.
Maybe you don't have a name.
Of my moment in time, yeah. No, I don't think I have names.
So you're at that moment then that your boobs are breastfeeding?
Have been, yes.
Yeah. So
I've got a son that's 5. I've got twins that are 2.5. And I breastfed with my son till he was 2.5. And with my girls, because they're identical girls, and it was a very traumatic gestation and birth, I think I managed to do about 3 weeks before my body was too stressed.
Okay.
So yeah, I stopped.
And how has your relationship been since you've stopped with your boobs?
Well, it's quite confusing because I was always a really small 34B, but almost could have gone almost into A's. And then with breastfeeding, it's almost like my boobs obviously had to embrace loads of milk, but they've also just got so much bigger.
Yeah.
And then I've done making babies later in life. So I'm also mid-40s now, so I'm approaching perimenopause, which also means that you fill out and you put on weight and your estrogen drops.
You adjust.
So
what size are you now? Would you?
I don't know.
You don't know. Oh my goodness.
I know
okay.
it sounds nuts. The last 5 years I've changed so many times that now I have a bra that is, I'm still sometimes wearing my maternity bras, but then I wear like a hold me in suit over the top. And I love it because it means that I'm not necessarily wearing anything that defines the cup shape, but I'm holding myself in, and it makes me feel really supported and that they're quite full and round, and that feels good right now.
Is that a comfort? Does it feel comfortable to wear that?
It feels comforting.
Yeah.
It makes me feel strong. It makes
Yeah.
me feel like my figure's being defined and my breasts are being held at the right place.
So
Yeah.
do you wear, like, for going out in the evening, when you get the chance to go out, are you wearing, like, kind of more sexy bras again, yeah?
Sometimes because of my bigger boobs,
Yeah.
I kind of like to play on it because I've never had that before.
No.
I've always been...
So it's a new thing.
Yeah, I basically spent the first sort of 38, 40 years of my life with all my clothes kind of hanging off my shoulders and being very long and thin. And then now I'm a different shape and I'm having to learn how to dress being a different shape.
Yeah.
But the fun bit is, like, how do I play with enjoying having
Wow.
a bit more cleavage?
Yeah.
So sometimes I wear a push-up bra, that's novel. Sometimes I'll wear something that's more scooped down, so a little bit of cleavage might be on show.
Yeah,
But I've
like-
never been like that. I've never even dressed to entertain this area because everything kind of hung off my shoulders in the past.
Yeah.
I was very small framed.
So you're experimenting with them?
I'm experimenting, yeah. You know, I used to always joke that, you know, I wish just for one day I could swap to really big boobs.
And now you have.
And, well, I don't think they're really big, but they're definitely a different size to what I'm used to.
So I would say straight away you need to get, find out your size.
I do. But it might change again in 2 months'
It might
time.
change again, and that's absolutely fine. So
Yeah.
your journey, what has been your relationship with your boobs?
So I hated them.
Really?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I think my shape was never round and full. My shape
Yeah.
was very pointy.
Yeah.
And I think I had a terrible first fondle experience. And he mocked me.
Okay.
And I think it really knocked my confidence.
Yeah.
I was a teenager in the 90s. That's brutal. You know?
Yeah.
Like 90s and noughties. What the hell was going on back then? Like, there was just so many disgusting ways of representing women and critiquing women happening in the press. I mean, it was all in our faces, even though this is pre-social media, but it was
Yeah.
just really brutal back then.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just felt it really played a lot on the male gaze and the heterosexual dynamic and women almost being there for a male pleasure rather than pleasure qualities. And, you know, it was quite damaging to our
Yeah.
psychologies.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't feel like, I hope people that are teenagers and in their 20s now feel something slightly different or feel like they can be different and be attractive.
Yeah, I think I've got 2 teenage girls, and I don't mind them seeing me naked, you know, in the shower, obviously. And I said, come in, just talk to me in the shower. And they're like, no, you're naked. But I want them to see that boobs are hanging more droopy are fine. I want them to see that it's not all about what they see, you know, social media. Obviously, campaigns, we've talked about them, they're getting better and using more, you know, reality sizes and shapes. But I just want them to understand that, you know, that don't cover these up necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, be proud of them and enjoy them. You don't need to show them off necessarily, but just be, you know, accept what you've got. And
It's about normalising.
it's normalising.
Like, we don't have to hide things.
Yeah.
One of my favourite clients I think I've ever worked with my entire life, and I'm talking about more than any of the super brands, is my startup client that I work with at the moment called Unobra.
Okay, yeah, I know
And the
Unobra.
whole premise of Unobra is that Katie, the founder, who is a cancer survivor, post-mastectomy, the whole premise is that why is it not normal to see somebody who's had an operation to remove one breast?
Yeah.
It should be normal.
Yeah.
Like, why is it not normal? And before working with her, I hadn't really seen it, other than in maybe a piece of art, like an art, still life art. Whereas, why am I not seeing it at the swimming pool or on a beach or, you know, places where we all see each other's bodies? And so her whole quest is to be confidently asymmetric. And I think it's absolutely exquisite. But I think by the time I got into my sort of mid-20s, I was comfortable, there was no issues.
Yeah.
And then by the time you hit your early 30s, then you're in a different mode of your womanhood.
Yeah.
So my relationship to them evolved again. Now I'm in that phase of them just changing size and just going with it, and you know, I can handle that because I'm older. I don't think you have the same relationship with them all your life.
No.
And some people don't change that much. Like, I've got other friends that have got at the same stage of life and have gone through breastfeeding, but they're still kind of a similar size to before it all. Whereas I just feel like I'm doing this.
Yeah, mine haven't changed.
Literally.
The important thing is you're looking at them going, okay, I need to adapt now. I need to experiment with bras. And I think as long as you're doing that, you know, go with it. Go with it. It's your body saying, this is it. This is who you are now. Mine definitely didn't change much, even with breastfeeding. They just stayed the same.
Yeah.
I wish they'd get bigger, but yeah. So you're actually obviously lingerie
But you have big boobs.
I am lucky. I have big boobs. You're a lingerie designer.
Yeah.
What I've known you is always ready to wear, and then suddenly you were doing lingerie. What's the shift from ready to wear to sort of luxury ready to wear to luxury? You know,
yeah,
lingerie?
well, I mean, the practicality of it was that I did have a consultancy come in from a lingerie brand, and I thought, okay, I'll try.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. The push actually was coming from my dad. So my dad was a wonderful artist and special effects director in movies and stuff. And so he had such an amazing eye. And he said to me, from about the age of like 25, your aesthetic is so seductive that it would lend itself really well to lingerie. And then he also said, imagine the kind of process that you go through as a ready-to-wear designer, and then you applied it to a different sector within your discipline.
Yeah.
And I was like, I always used to say to him, Dad, I've trained at St. Martin's as a women's wear designer, like, please respect what I've achieved and all this, you know, but actually he was completely right. And then as soon as I went into lingerie and started to embrace it, I realised, wow, I've got an amazing opportunity here. So I was beginning to recognise not only could I aesthetically create some impact, and bring craft from lots of other areas.
Yeah.
But then I realised, I can actually do things like challenge attitudes or reframe the conversation about empowering women or female pleasure or the male gaze. Let's throw that one out, you know? So yeah, then I felt really empowered.
So your brand that you were creating was very seductive?
I wanted women in my garments to feel really authentic, that it wasn't... I think our sexuality is a dance with our soul. So if you are able to engage in a way that all of you is present, your intellect, your spirit, your naughtiness, your ethics, without becoming too political, if you can get all of that into it, and that was kind of my goal that I'd set myself. I wanted people to put on these pieces and feel like there were lots of messages.
So you're empowering women?
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a sense, to be themselves.
Yeah.
You
know, when I started to shoot, so creating a whole brand identity around lingerie, when I was beginning to shoot, it was very much, how can I take away this objectification feeling?
Yeah.
So it's not shot from a perspective of a man gazing at you or objectifying you. It's shot as you putting out into the world. So I think you can feel that when you look at the imagery, that it feels like that woman is standing there presenting who she wants to be, rather than us presenting to seek male approval.
How do you feel like other brands, the marketing today, obviously the kind of inclusivity that's coming through from Fenty, from a lot of brands like Lemonade Dolls, but obviously also Skims, all about, you know, you can be real women. Let's not limit. You can have a luxury product where, you know, any colour, skin tone, any size, and it's, you know, and feel damn good in it. And obviously that's coming through strongly in the marketing, and that's been welcomed by women at last, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think loads of things have shifted. Like, we've gone through the woke era, and we've gone through Me Too, Black Lives Matter, all this kind of stuff. So all of a sudden we're addressing, I think ageism could be pushed harder, to be honest, but all of a sudden we're addressing equalities within design, and it's essential. During the pandemic, I had my children, and coming back to my consultancy business, I began to realise I don't think I can advise people without forcing them to think about inclusivity, genders, ethnicities, ages, or going into the materials and really thinking about the impact on the planet. I just, you know, whereas I wouldn't necessarily have been so strong-willed about those aspects when I interacted with clients previously, but certainly as soon as we'd gone through something as globally shifting as a pandemic, suddenly it was like a wake-up call.
I was going to say, it made you think, made everyone stop and have time to think.
Yeah.
And I think that's when obviously the marketing changed, because also women were going, we don't want, you know, bras that constrict us, we want to feel more relaxed. Loungewear became even bigger,
it was
amazing. With all the zooms. So I think that had a natural shift, didn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely on lingerie. And also suddenly lingerie was like, we want it to wear its outerwear.
Yeah.
We want to be seen more.
Yeah.
And that seemed to have come through. So you had that loungewear, soft bras, bralettes as they're called. And then suddenly as well, it's like, let's wear them under jacket, a kind of corset style. Let's show it again.
Yeah.
And that's coming through.
Also, there's been a trend that's happened in the fashion industry where innerwear became outerwear.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When I first launched Aimee, that was what a lot of people were saying in the press. Our brand was pioneering that movement, and then very, very quickly, within maybe a year, 2 years, you started to see new designers coming through that were also beginning to use lingerie as outerwear pieces. So you might have had like a bralette at the top and then a full dress underneath, that kind of thing. So it was definitely a movement, and it kind of makes sense when you think about the way that people choose to wear stuff for social media posting, particularly celebrities, or I guess it's the rebelliousness coming through if you've been a bit suppressed and kept in a pandemic. You know, like suddenly you want to be out in the world and showing it all off if you've got it, you know. So I think some people had that attitude as well.
And I find a lot of lingerie brands have now extended it into clothes as well. They're kind of extending.
Yeah, it goes up either way.
It goes either way. What do you think is happening now within the kind of luxury side of lingerie? What's the next kind of, what's breaking out?
I believe that amazing fit and working through a whole grade spectrum is luxury.
Yeah.
And really, if we can do it, we should all do it. But there are reasons why it's so hard to do. The challenges are that it's extremely expensive to do a huge grade range.
Yeah.
So say if you're going from a 32 back or even a 30 back right through to a 42, and then you've got your cups going from A's right through to G's or even beyond in some cases.
Yeah.
It literally has to translate each design into each iteration, and that's a highly skilled task in itself. But as well as that, some designs, because with lingerie is such a beautiful product category to work in as a designer, because it's a miniature architecture. So there are some structures that will not move, that are fixed, and then there's a hell of a lot of elasticities that all change as they go wrapped around the body and change in relationship to one another. So it's like a wee miniature engineering experience. So one design that you might have made in a 30B doesn't necessarily always translate to the 40G. So
to make that adjustment would take time.
Yeah, so then you have to go back to the designer and say,
Yeah.
okay, what changes can I make to this particular design to remain inclusive but fit the larger size?
Yeah.
Some of the brands aren't monsters, they just don't have the budgets yet to be able to accommodate, particularly with the ones that are starting out. So I always felt aware that some of the feedback I was getting in my first and second collection under my own name was that these straps are so thin, it's never going to hold up my my volume of cup.
My ample bosom.
Yep. Or I would get things like, I don't know if I could reveal that amount of flesh. So something you can see that in two different ways.
Yeah.
For some people, it's just about a modesty thing, and other people can be a much larger size and really enjoy
and have the confidence.
have a lot of flesh on show. So that's totally
That's individual.
That can be individual, or it can be factored into a design. But I remember a lot of the feedback, and I had to just be so honest about, to launch a company, it takes a huge amount of money just to design and make a sample collection. And the sample collection is just in whatever size you decided to make a sample collection in. Yeah. So at the time, for ease, I made it a 34B because that was me, so I could keep
so you'll fit whoever your fit model sizes.
To save money, I would try it on myself.
Yeah, of course.
And then you'd invite friends in with different sizes to try on different things that you'd made, and then eventually go into a full-on grade experience. But it's really challenging when you're starting out, because that's a big investment and you haven't even made any sales yet.
Would it be easier for consumers if it was a dress size? So rather than the 30B and...
Perhaps it will change once we completely revolutionise. Like maybe we are 3D printing our bras from a stretchy material at some point, or where perhaps there's a process I can't even name yet that's going to come out of a digital age. At that point, perhaps the whole sizing system changes.
What's the immediate future for lingerie, the industry as a whole?
Well, I'm really impressed with brands like Skims or Fenty, because the quest to include everybody is there. And what I particularly love about Skims is the iteration change. So you can have almost an identical product, and all they've done is raise the outer leg height by 2 centimeters, or curve the front down or curve the front up to cover belly differences, and then allowed it to fit across a whole spectrum of sizes. That's really beautiful execution.
So that means obviously the fit from someone like maybe a size 10 and then maybe someone size 16, it works on both.
Yeah.
Because they've accommodated the size 16,
or they've
size
got a slightly
10.
different product that they're launching for that that's better for that size group.
And do you think that's helped by the fact they've got money behind them?
Oh yeah, you can only do that with a fortune behind you. There's
So all these brands we're talking about, they're owned by, well-known, famous people who've got lots of money, and that's obviously helping the brand. But at the same time, it's needed, and the consumer needs it. The customers, thank God. I think it's also helped independent brands who are coming new to the market, who can't quite, they had to look at their product.
No, I totally agree. I think luxury is experiencing a really challenging moment in time, because even as a luxury goods designer, I look at the spectrum from the cheapest to the most expensive and assess it on different merits now, whereas maybe 20 years ago I would have just looked to La Perla and been like, aha. Whereas now I'm going, well, that Skims piece is 80 quid and that La Perla piece is 580. They're two completely different worlds. I might buy that for my really special date night. Yeah. And then I might buy that for my everyday feeling good.
So I'm dying to see your own collection now, Aimee.
I wanted to create something that was a wee bit like almost like a Marilyn Monroe moment. So it does feel like that when it's on, but it's full of modern technicalities. So for example, it uses one wire that goes from one side to the other side, so one armpit to the other armpit, and it's called a monowire.
And it's padded, so does it give a little bit of a push?
A wee tiny push up, I think there's so many beautiful ways to sculpt the body. Optics, let's call it optics. Like you're kind of giving the illusion of being a wee bit thinner or having a bit of a tinier waist. It's all just part of designing, really, isn't it? And then the material in itself is an interesting one because...
Really stretchy.
It's actually, and it's very strong. It's a lot thicker than you would imagine on a lingerie piece. But it's a jacquard, so it's woven in a woven stretch.
Because obviously it looks
look
like
a lace. Yeah. Even though, like, before having all my babies, I was a wee tiny size 6 dress, I still always had this sort of demure part of me. I wasn't showy-offy about my body at all. It's just part of my sexuality in the way that I would allure. And I like to factor some of that in. I don't always think like that when I design. Sometimes I'm designing with different sort of alter egos and personas in mind.
Of course.
But definitely for that one, that was a demure piece.
So this is quite a skimpy number.
This is a guipure.
So it's, the guipure is what, the lace effect, that kind of...
It looks like it's a lace, but it's not. It's way thicker and there's more threads. I'm beginning to see it more now, but it was more about interiors or super luxurious red carpet dresses.
Yeah, dresses I've seen it on.
But it wasn't really done in lingerie at the time when I made this one. And the tiger became our signature. It's very subtle. It's not
Yeah, it is. It's, I just, now I'm seeing the tiger.
Subsequently, it's been copied a lot. So you'll see lots of other brands using the tigers and the graphics and making it look like tattoos.
If we turn it to the back, it's literally backless.
Yeah, just with a couple of lines going across.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really revealing at the back.
It's not going to support, but it's there for...
Yeah, it's more like a...
empowering and, you know...
almost a performance in the moment,
Yeah.
you know. So this wee one, I love it just hanging up on a hanger. It looks
beautiful.
That to me is always a winner when sometimes you make things and you fit them and they look great on, then you put them on the hanger and they don't work so well. I mean, it's tricky wearing a piece like this if you're much fuller in the cup size.
Of course.
And it kind of depends on how you feel about your body.
You don't necessarily need to wear support every day. You
Yeah,
can just put
especially if
beautiful...
it's for the, you know, I'll just slip into something a little more comfortable moment.
Absolutely.
You know, like just go off and put on whatever you feel good in that moment. I don't know that even with a smaller boob, I would wear this as my day-to-day, but definitely if it's, you know, date night or
date night, or
occasion.
you know, in the evening I will slip into something, and I love having something that's pretty underneath.
This is the absolute opposite world to Skims. You know, so I would say wear your Skims all day in the week and then put this on in your...
Exactly.
You know. And then this is a really special piece.
This is stunning.
This was part of a bridal range.
This feels like a slip that you could dance in.
It's also, you don't have to wear any other pants with it because it's got a built-in thong.
Oh, has it?
So it's all built into the structure.
Oh, wow, that's clever. Not seen that before.
A lot of the other elements that have kind of come into this come from a ready-to-wear background.
Yeah.
Building that thong in comes from knowing how to put all the different layers together in a really avant-garde piece within ready-to-wear. Or the drapery, we call it flou. When you work in Paris, is knowing how to use material and drape it in a certain way. And when you see the photos of this when it's on, it has a very particular expression in the way it's draped. And I think that comes from a more experimental background that you would find in a ready-to-wear designer.
Yeah. Well, that's why to me it looks more like a dress.
I absolutely loved being able to think about the components that can go into these, like sourcing the tiniest ever hooks. Gosh. And then how do you make that work? So there was just so many elements that are the geeky side of being a designer that I just love to embrace.
And how many collections did you produce?
I did 3 or 4 before stopping to have my baby. I've still got a consultancy company that specialises in lingerie and I've got lots of different clients. So I've got all my network of factories and everything in place. I'm launching an edtech platform at the moment.
What's that?
It's a disruptor to how we study art and design education. So I'm launching that and I'm publishing some books. But once I get all of that under my belt this year, then I'll be coming back to doing lingerie.
Juggling real life. So Aimee, I've asked you to bring some of your bras from your own personal wardrobe today. This is H&M.
This is H&M.
Okay, I've not seen, this feels amazing.
Technically it's really nice.
Very padded.
You can see all the push-up effect on the inside.
Yeah.
And it has a knitted outer casing, which makes it really, really simple to construct in the factory and actually a very clean finish. It fits brilliantly. I feel supported. I feel like it stretches round. My breasts arrive in this perfect
to give you a push up because of all the padding.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, feels very padded
and really great price point. So that's a total winner for me. This is from Zara, leopard print body.
Yeah.
With leopard print with lace, and I love that they can get pieces like this done in that price point. So that's quite impressive, and even the wee ruching. How beautiful that is on the straps. So beautiful.
I love that, but I've tried on their bikinis and I've tried on their lingerie and I just can't fit into them.
That's what my issue is as well. It fits me on the body and then the cups, I just don't have any support. They need to increase their range.
Yeah, absolutely, be more inclusive.
Then this is Coco de Mer. For the untrained eye, you'd probably just say it's loads of cutouts. It kind of is cutouts. There's a little circular ring in between the two cups and then there's a circular ring on the the belly button and all the materials stretch to these rings. So I delivered twins via a C-section 2 years ago, and so now I can't wear it because everything digs into my skin in a different way.
Yeah.
So the skin consistency is very, very soft because it's been stretched.
Yeah.
So that just doesn't make me feel attractive wearing that. So maybe I'll be back in that at some point, but not quite yet.
I mean, honestly, I've had 2 kids, and I find that, you know, I've still got that stretched skin, and I exercise, I do sit-ups, and I can't get rid of it. And it doesn't, I've got used to it, and I go, it's not going away. So I've gone back to choose what you want to wear.
Absolutely.
That gives you a little bit of confidence at every stage of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the
I
last
recognise
one.
this.
Oh, yeah.
This cami by Wacol, grey and champagne.
It's just such a lovely, it's really affordable as a price point. It fits beautifully, and just the construction's great. Like, that's a really nice development. It's a stretch embroidery onto a stretch lace. The fact that they've kept it as a staple in their offering for years now. I mean,
Because it's a
you can still walk in and see this.
What's this? A body?
So this is one of my Skims pieces.
Okay.
So it's a body with a underneath fastening.
Oh,
And I love this for a few different reasons. It's got these little hooks for pushing your bum up.
wow. Okay,
Give
so
your bum-
that sits at the back and just gives you lift, natural lift.
And then also, you can see the cups knitted into the material.
Yes.
So this is something that loads of factories can now offer. I'm really impressed that they've been able to jump on certain new tech wagons very, very quickly.
So would you say they're the head of their game at the moment?
It depends which kind of area of the market you're working in.
Yeah.
Like La Perla or super luxurious brands have been at the forefront of a lot of stuff for many years. But in terms of like technology that can be applied to masses, then yeah, I guess maybe we should say that. Only trouble is it didn't fit me very well.
Why?
The straps were too loose.
Okay.
I wanted them tighter.
So
around
they should
the
be
top of my
adjustable
legs.
in a sense.
It'd be nice if they were adjustable. And the cup just looked a bit.
Oh, that's disappointing, because it's when you were explaining this technology and I was looking at this garment, I was going, oh wow, you know,
But then
bum
it could
lift
have been. So if I get it to the perfect position on my boobs,
Yeah.
it's hanging too low here.
Okay, so it's long in the body
Yeah.
for you, and
For
the straps
me.
are too.
And I don't think I've never really found that I'm not a standard. I seem to put on weight or lose weight proportionately, so I don't think it's a me thing. If I had have not been as busy when this arrived, maybe I would have sent it back and then asked for a different size.
I was going to say maybe a different size would have helped. Thanks, Aimee, for being our guest on this episode. It's been brilliant having you here. I think from my point of view and the audience is to get an understanding of what goes into making a luxury brand, in particular lingerie, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail, the price point in terms of the materials you use, the finishing you use. And I think we touched on the sizing issue that I feel like brands are aware of, the fact they need to increase their cup size. But there was an understanding from your point of view about the grading system and why some brands only go up to D or double D cup. But we do need to move forward to be more inclusive.
Yeah,
sure.
ideally.
But thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening and watching this episode of Tits for Your Tits. But please don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, #TipsForYourTits.